The Chicago Bulls took an embarrassing loss yesterday to the Miami Heat. I wonder why. And while we getting ready to talk about that, we got to talk about the Chicago Bulls potentially being in play for Karl-Anthony Towns. And Ayo Dosunmu might be on the radar of the New York Knicks. Y'all know we going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hit the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, love talking Bulls basketball, even when they give you a headache, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Yes, I'm back to putting it out there. Even when the Bulls give you a headache, hit the like button and subscribe for all your latest Chicago Bulls news and updates. But hey, last night, the game was pretty much over in the first quarter. After a couple minutes in the first quarter, the Chicago Bulls only tallied up 13 points in the first quarter. At one point, they was down 24-6. Did not look like they were ready to go. Did not look like they were fully engaged. That speaks to the players on this team. That speaks to the coaching staff. What was they contribute to that? I don't know. Potentially, it could have been Billy Donovan addressing the team prior to the game and constantly talking about trade talks that were being thrown out there surrounding the Chicago Bulls. That's why I'm sitting right here and ready to say it is time to move on from a lot of players that is on this team currently, because we have a lot of guys under with expiring contracts. And when we talk about that, that leaves an amount of uncertainty with the team. And after their victory on Saturday night, they went out there and made a move and got rid of Javon Carter. And that could have shaken the team. But at the end of the day, guys still have to go out there and do their job. I know we can blame Billy Donovan for it. I will. But it also falls on the hands of these players as well, man. These guys have to come up and be ready to play. I could take a loss. But 134-91, shit. That is just terrible, man. But hey, we move on to continue to talk about the potential trade talks or some rumors that is being placed out there for the Chicago Bulls and some of their players. And we've seen it all the time. We got Giannis Antetokounmpo's name coming up, and we're seeing that the betting odds has the Chicago Bulls listed at number 2 and all that stuff now. But at the end of the day, they're just trade rumors, at least for right now. I will give the Chicago Bulls credit for the Dario Saric move, getting involved in that in a way that you can go out there and get a quality player and then also stack some draft capital. That was a good move from the Chicago Bulls, regardless of how we feel about the team in its totality. That was a move that signaled maybe they will be different this time around. But we only got a couple days left, and we'll see where or what else happens with the state of the Chicago Bulls. Now, we're hearing a report that the Knicks will be content to acquiring salary matching players and maybe small draft capital to move off of Karl-Anthony Towns. And this is according to James L. Edwards of The Athletic. And he said this is something that is being placed out there because they feel like they need a change when it comes to their big man situation and Karl-Anthony Towns, not necessarily feeling like he's a good fit for the New York Knicks currently, and looks like they're dropping their asking price. So the Chicago Bulls could potentially be players. So you know what I did as the YouTube GM I am? I fired up the trade machine. Here's the trade that I put together, and that trade is Karl-Anthony Towns and Miles McBride comes to Chicago in exchange for Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, and Kevin Huerter. No, I did not include any draft capital in that. That's something that could potentially be done, but it is very, very interesting to say the least. That gives you a different style of center other than Karl-Anthony Towns. Maybe a little bit more of a fit with Nikola Vucevic there, or maybe I might be losing my mind. And some people are going to say, Bobby, that trade would never happen. Hey, one can only try though, right? I got to try something to try to get these guys off my team. And can we please get rid of Patrick Williams? Can we please get rid of Nikola Vucevic? And I'm not mad at the Red Velvet. I honestly like how he plays some nights, but why not? Especially if you are a team that's looking for a quote unquote star. The Chicago Bulls have been mentioned in, with having interest in Zion Williamson. That was kind of shot down, but it's still in making its way through the rumor mill. And then they were interested in big man Eve Missy on the New Orleans Pelicans as well. But hey, if you can go out there and get you a star like Karl-Anthony Towns to pair up with a Montes Buzelis, with a Josh Giddey, to me, I like that. That's just me, though. Now, I understand that there's been a little bit of reluctance to go out there and, give Karl-Anthony Towns a chance around certain, players and people who are avid watchers of the league. But we need a star, right? And we don't currently have a star. We could have potentially had an all-star, but Josh Giddey, due to injuries, right now is not on the list. Could he potentially go in as a replacement? Absolutely. But the idea of having Karl-Anthony Towns, I think that's a step forward for the Chicago Bulls, especially if you can go out there and get them on a cheaper deal. And now, will the New York Knicks require first-round draft capital? Possibly. I don't know. But if you can go out there and kind of just snatch them away and come off with a quote-unquote heist, I put that in, quotation marks, because we don't necessarily know if the Bulls are going to be doing it or if they are even entertaining this. This is just speculation and trade rumors right now. But I wouldn't be mad at having a Josh Giddey. And if you are able to retain Ayo Dosunmu, and if you are able to have Montes Buzelis with Karl-Anthony Towns, I like that direction. And then there would still be moves that I would still consider making, and that comes in with Kobe White following after and potentially moving somebody else alongside with him to continue to try to get players in the building, but then also try to stack additional draft capital. And we'll see, man, because there are teams that are interested in Ayo, that are interested in Trey Jones, that need point guard help. And we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't be mad if the Chicago Bulls traded for Karl-Anthony Towns. Let me know how you all are feeling about that, especially considering that James L. Edwards is saying that the New York Knicks might be dropping their price. So what was once looked at as something that can be out of the ordinary or something really expensive, it looked like it could potentially be more feasible for the Chicago Bulls. So let me know how y'all feeling about that. Now, while we're talking about the New York Knicks and Karl-Anthony Towns, we're hearing several reports, or at least paying attention to several reports coming in saying that the New York Knicks might have some interest in Ayo Dosunmu. Y'all know my position when it comes to Ayo Dosunmu. I believe he's on a list with 3 players. Well, him makes it 3, but that is with Josh Giddey, Trey Jones, Josh Giddey, Montes Buzelis, and Ayo Dosunmu or at least consider my untouchables when it comes to trade talks. I think that when we saw Ayo Dosunmu Saturday night, he was doing everything. He was passing, he was shooting, he was defending. And I think Ayo Dosunmu is a winning player that I would love to continue to have on my basketball team, more so than some other faces on the Chicago Bulls. Now, we're hearing from Stefan Bondi of the New York Post. He lists Ayo Dosunmu as a name to watch for the New York Knicks ahead of the February 5th deadline, but cautions that Chicago may have a steep asking price for the 6-man. And then Bondi is not the only one. The Athletics, James L. Edwards, again, the third, also makes the connections while suggesting that key reserve guard Miles McBride and his $4.3 million deal for 2025 and 26 and being under contract for next year might need to be included to incentivize the Chicago Bulls. So there's more trade speculation. There is more trade rumors with this. Y'all know my position. I don't necessarily want to move Ayo Dosunmu. I would love to retain Ayo Dosunmu for the foreseeable future, and I think that'll be something that would interest me wholeheartedly. With keeping Ayo Dosunmu in a Chicago Bulls uniform, I just think he's a winning player, man. If you need him to go run your point, he can go run a point. You need him to run off the ball, he'll run off the ball. You need him to go guard, you need him to push the pace. Ayo Dosunmu checks all those boxes, man. He's a winning player in my mind, and I think that he's more better for the Chicago Bulls than not. Now, before we get up out of here, I want to talk about Josh Giddey missing out on the All-Star nod. So the reserves, they were dropped, and yeah, Josh Giddey was not on the list due to injuries. The Bulls so far have played in 50 games. Josh Giddey has been available for 34 out of those 50 games. So far in the season, 18.6 points on 42% shooting from the field, 36% shooting from the three, and 77% from the shooting from the free throw line, and 8.8 assists, 8.6 rebounds. But the biggest question is, can he get in the All-Star game as a replacement? As it currently stands, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a guy that is out, or at least being considered to be out for the All-Star game. And with the way that the NBA has been going with injuries as of late, could somebody else opt out of the All-Star game and then Josh Giddey find his way in? We'll see what happens. The decisions that come and places those replacements into the All-Star game is decisions made by Adam Silver. So we'll see what happens with that situation. Look, I'm not asking for anybody to be, get injured. That is not how I do business. But if somebody opts out and is not able to make it, I would love to see one of my own get in, and Josh Giddey. I would love to see him there. But obviously, those decisions have to be made by the decision makers in the NBA, and not necessarily us. We'd love to see him there, though. But it is what it is at this particular moment. And y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that as well. Now, before we get up out of here, I want to go out there and play a voicemail left by my man's Ricky, who was just in disbelief of what he was watching last night. He was not happy. So we're going to go ahead and play it. Here's the voicemail from Ricky.
Bobby, see, good. It's Ricky. And then, you know what? The game is over. And I have said things about to y'all before. I like Kobe White. But hopefully I got my first message to go. He needs to go right away. Not only for the Bulls, for his own career. As Billy the coach, they really ain't going to have a career. He's going to be, like I said, like Jack Levine, a good player who couldn't win at the system he was playing in. Can't nobody do it. Patrick Williams is a counselor. If he needs to go somewhere else, he will play better. Believe me. He just don't care, man. Billy don't put no fire. He don't have any. His system is dead, man. They tried to embarrass the Bulls tonight. They tried to win by 65 or 70. They tried to. Ain't no let up. So Kobe got to go. I really hate that. But the brother, he cannot play for Billy. They need to get a new coach in here. Everybody know that. I've been saying that for years. I've been saying it about Patrick Williamson. He got the Tony Stale syndrome. So that's really all I got to say about that, man. Billy got to go. Billy got to go. And I don't care who you bring in there. He is not going to win. Peace.
Man, y'all got my man's Ricky. Like, Ricky, you speak for everybody. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that your emotions, you know what I'm saying, and your sentiment on what on that was displayed on your voicemail, everybody feels that same way. When it comes to Billy Donovan, I tried to give Billy Donovan his flowers, and every time I do, he slaps me in my face and say, "Yeah, boy, you're tweaking." Every single time, bro. And when it comes to guys like Patrick Williams and Kobe White, I think it's an embodiment. I think it's a representation of how they're being coached as well. And I think they could potentially go somewhere and flourish. I think it's possible, but I also think that When you said that Billy's system is dead, I 100% agree with you. It's just, let's push the pace. Let's get up and down. Let's go out there and shoot threes. Like, I get it, bro. The analytics, they say you should be shooting more threes outside of twos. But that shit is not always taken into the human aspect that the threes ain't falling for this game. That's why it shouldn't be frowned upon when a guy takes a mid-range jumper. It shouldn't be frowned upon when guys want to get downhill and get to the basket. Bro, that game was embarrassing. And you are 100% correct. They wanted to embarrass the Chicago Bulls and wanted to put up 60. They wanted to put up 60. Guys just started doing whatever they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it on the Miami Heat. Lob dunks, crazy corner threes. Like, they just was feeling good and was like, look at these bums. Let's bust their ass. And that's not a representation of Chicago. Look, blowouts happen. They do happen, but not in this way. Not in that's with no effort. And they gonna keep shooting threes, refusing to get in downhill, refusing to take an open mid-range shot. Like, just keep shooting the three. That's a reflection of the head coach, man. So you're 100% correct, Ricky. That was embarrassing, bro. And Billy Donovan's system is dead, bro. And more moves need to be made on his team, but that should be a strong look at the head coach as well, because how many iterations of this team do you have to give him? How many iterations of this team do you have to give Billy Donovan to see if he's a good coach? He's had multiple iterations of this team. Real talk. So I 100% agree with you, bro. This is one of those things to where we just can't escape it because the front office love this guy. Now, there's been some rumors coming out there that the Bulls are eyeing the coach from Duke. Yeah, I believe it when I see it, man. But I just know that Billy Donovan, in my opinion, he has lost his locker room on multiple occasions. He's tried to reel him in a lot. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't work. And ultimately, we're seeing Montes pretty much be stagnant in his development, in my opinion. Yeah, he's progressing, but I feel like he should be further along under Billy Donovan's tutelage. I feel like Patrick Williams is a guy that did not necessarily progress under his tutelage. Julian Phillips, what is that? Dalen Terry, maybe come in and give you some energy. That could be due to the front office and their drafting process, but it's also an indictment on the head coach too, to not get the best out of your players, especially when they're on the basketball court. But hey, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Before you get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. If you want to call in and be a part of the episode like Ricky was today, the number to do so is 773-242-9219. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you always see red. And y'all already know we're going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
Cognac. Gang.